Whew. See if I can set this up here and get started chatting, guys. Hey, been a minute since I've been on. Sorry, just been a little crazy with work and life and getting ready for the baby, selling a house, all that kind of stuff. So, uh, haven't exactly been steady with these, but it's good to see you guys again. Good to chat. You see the prompt for starting off today's little session here. So, what stories are you telling your kids, right? So, what I mean by that is both locally, at the more literal level, like what are the, I'm just crowdsourcing for ideas for bedtime. Sure, I mean that's part of it, but also, when I say what stories are you telling your kid, kind of more at a more abstract level, like, hey, what are the actions that you're taking right now that are building the memories, which would be the stories you tell your kids in the future, right? So what are you doing today to set yourself up so that you have interesting stories? What are you doing today to kind of get your life right so that you have or are in the position to pass that knowledge on to the next generation? So, we can take it a whole host of different ways here, right? Whether it be abstract or literal. Um, just kind of a good way to start as I'm cranking out these high rep, low weight days. Because honestly, it gets real boring doing low weight, high reps. So, whew. But anywho, hopefully everybody's doing good as you're logging on. Hopefully you had some good sleep last night, and you're getting ready to crush the weekend. But oh gosh, yeah, getting different format. Normally I'm doing cardio, but today I'm like, hey, I'll actually put my phone on the ledge and chat. Yeah, if the gym starts getting busy and I feel like I'm messing other people up there, I'm gonna stop. But just a warning. But as we get started here, I guess I'll lead it off by beginning the conversation. So what kind of spurred this idea was last night during bedtime, Harlan totally surprised me. So I've told him little things here, little things there about like international travel or funny military stories or whatever it may be, right? It's kind of like, hey, this funny thing happened. He usually gets a giggle out of it. So last night we're getting ready. We're in his bed. We're getting ready to lay down, settling down. He goes, Dad, I want a story. I was like, okay, yeah, of course, buddy. I tell you a story almost every night after we finish saying prayers and reading books. And he goes, I want a story from when you were in Jordan. That's my favorite. And it kind of surprised me a little bit. I've only told him like one or two stories about Jordan. So I was super surprised that he even remembered the name of the country. So I was like, sure, buddy. So I started telling him travel, going to see Petra, riding on camels, hanging out with different important people, and just some like day to day stuff that I did with my friends while I was there. And he loved it. And then he was like, I want another story about you traveling. So I was like, okay. So I started telling him about the Republic of Georgia. I was telling him about Kazakhstan. I was telling him about, Korea, Germany, Italy, England, um, Mexico, like all these different places that we've been. And I realized, even though I'm a proud father, so of course I think this. Every parent thinks their kid's advanced or anything there, you know. Uh, but as I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, okay, this kid's 2.5 years old, and he remembers already. I mean, he may not remember long term, but he already remembers these stories that we're telling him. So he started realizing, like, how important is it to have that good story to tell? So made me think that'd be a good topic to talk to you guys on and be like, hey, what are the stories? How are you building the stories? What should we do collectively as parents or as mentors to spread good stories, spread good knowledge to the next generation? Well, I think you can break that down a couple different ways, but I think one of the ways that you break it down is you have to live a good life. Uh, Aiden says hi. Hi, Aiden. Good to have you on. Aiden, throw it to you since you said hi. What stories are you telling? How are you building those out? Have a great workout, gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment. Totally unfounded. I'm very plain Jane at best. But anyway, going into that idea. Uh, so I think it goes into living a good life. Well, that's very subjective, right? What is a good life? What is a proper way to do things? What is memories that are worth spreading and sharing down? You know, all of those things are very subjective. But I think if we don't kind of define our terms or establish how it should be done, I mean, we have a mesh network of everybody doing their own thing, and that has a purpose and that's good. But I think we could maybe set some ground rules. I don't know. Sure. Yeah. For the four people that are at gym at 7 in the morning on a Saturday. That's why if you notice, I'm all the way in the corner away from everybody else. And also at this gym, uh, everybody but like two people has their phone up and is doing some kind of video. So I promise you, it's unfortunately, this is kind of more of the norm and less of an exception these days, especially at this gym. But anyway, going back to that. So as you kind of look in, right? So I think the first thing you have to do is you establish, okay, how do you need to live in a way that produces morals, produces success, it produces wisdom for the next generation, specifically for parents here, but mentors or aunts, uncles, cousins, I think also applies. Let's see, what is that, like 10 pounds, man? Yeah, it's 30 pounds because I'm doing low weight, high reps. Thanks for pointing it out. But anywho, the that kind of builds in to, all right, well, what's the moral foundation? Well, the moral foundation there is going to be built off a couple of things. I think one of the things that's going to be built off is theology. So you're going to have your theological framework that then is going to drive into and feed into your moral framework, which feeds into your ethical framework, which feeds into a professional, social, economic, all of those things. So as you build it in, right, what is the theological makeup that kind of builds it here? Okay, says the guy watching on YouTube while I'm working out. Uh, how do you tell your kids you're gay? Well, typically, if you have kids, you're not going to be gay. So unless you adopted, okay, then bye, Danny. You can leave. Um, either way, thank you. Anyway, so all right, well, bye, Danny. You can leave. Uh, you're the one that came here. I didn't ask you to come. So as we continue on with our discussion, though, about what kind of establishes that groundwork of faith, I think it starts with faith, and then it builds into that your moral and ethical framework. So as you're building your moral and ethical framework, there is that informed, and this is more of a, this is very open for debate about how we view laws, but does your moral and ethical framework guide your laws, or does your laws, or do your laws guide your more societal, moral, and ethical framework? I personally think the framework establishes laws, but that's there. What is the point of lifting such little weights? Rehab on form. So this is total deviation from here, but there is a purpose. It rehabilitates your form, helps strengthen auxiliary muscles, helps stretch and get rid of lactic acid after you've had hard lift days where you've really torn everything up. And additionally, it's another type of conditioning for your muscles. So as you're switching and cycling through, I just got off of a bulk cycle. So now I'm going to be cycling back down to a cut cycle. And within that, going to higher reps endurance is what it is. Endurance lifting has a very good purpose for your routine, but not the least of which, but not the least of which is it helps to recondition your muscle groups. It helps to reshock as you switch from slow twitch to fast twitch fibers. It also helps to ensure that you are cross training across a couple of different demand cycles that you'll have on your muscles, the loads, right? which is weight over time or load over time compared to just short duration power, kind of explosive short duration but high intensity load. So it does have a very specific purpose. And if you are not incorporating through your annual cycle places where you cycle up and cycle down as far as intensity, you're going to plateau quick and you're never going to advance. So, okay, so I think this is B Village. So I guess, um, sorry, I'm not going to read it out loud, but I was reading your kind of story there. So is that, I guess from there is your point there that that's the story of resiliency and overcoming and hardship and all that. And so that's what you're passing down to the next generation is that even at your lowest you can recover and it can always be better, it can always be worse, and you never need to be satisfied with where you're at because you can always change your life. So is that like self-resiliency and endurance and the ability to effectuate your environment? Because if so, that's a great story. uh yeah, I love the guy saying there's a lot of good reasons. Probably not. It's not that loose, but good try. Um, always lift with your lower back and fast jerking motions. That's funny. Yes. Don't follow Nathan's advice. Like it's a joke. I get it. Don't do that unless you don't want to play with your kids by the time you're 30, because you'll be very much struggling just to maintain with what you're doing. But anyway, going back to the comment of the story. Yeah, absolutely. I think number one, good on you for getting yourself out of a very bad economic and social and safety situation and bringing yourself to a position where you can be a success story. You can show like, hey, you can overcome this. You can do better than what you're currently doing. That's great. No, good on you, and congratulations for doing that. David, yeah, no, I agree with you, David. It is great, and I think it's incredibly important for uh, people who have overcome adversity and overcome trials to be there to talk to the next generation and tell them like, hey guys, it can be worse, but it can be better, and ultimately, it's up to you to be the person who effectuates where your life is going, and that's a very, very powerful message. So, yeah, I think that's a good story. I think that's a good one to pass down. And I would say that I don't think the way you get the story is probably good in the traditional sense, but the outcome, the overcoming adversity, the changing your situation is very good. So, and maybe that's a good vignette of, hey, even if you're not living the best right now, you can change it and you can still pass down those lessons on. So that's good too. Yeah. Different direction I was thinking. That's good. Probably not, but good try. Oh man, I guess I guess that's what I get for getting on YouTube early in the morning compared to late at night. Seems like later at night there's more adults on. And I think in the morning, just from reading the comments from you guys, it sounds like there's a bunch of kids on, uh, or at least the maturity level is significantly different. Um, but anywho, so going into going into that, right? All right, so I guess that poses the question then: Do what do you guys think? Do laws inform morality, or does morality inform laws, right? What I mean by that is, and I know there's some interplay regardless of opinion, it's not completely one or the other, but as a whole, as the vast majority of it, do you guys think that laws are informed by morality, or is morality informed by laws, right? And there's plenty of historical examples on both sides. I'm just curious here. Let me switch that to a poll and do it that way. All right. Oh gosh. Which is more true? Ooh, come on. There we go. Done. Start pull. All right, start as a pull here. And put it in the corner. There we go. All right. Do. Is this your normal routine? Oh, hey, my wife hopped on. Hi, Allie. Hey, honey. Good to see you on. Hopefully, you and Harlan are having fun on the couch or getting ready for the day. Um, Somebody asked, is this my normal routine? No, but it will be soon. So, typically, lately, I've been working out at night just because, to be honest, it's when I could. But now, especially in the weekends, I'm going to try to get back into doing morning routine workouts to start my day instead of workouts in the evening to finish the day. And then as far as this, no, this is not my normal routine. This is definitely a reconditioning day, as I've kind of mentioned before, where I'm doing very lightweight for high reps, partially because one, I have the time to do it, and two, I'm coming off of a bulk cycle, and I'm getting back down to cutting and uh, getting my endurance back up. So switching back up there, but let's see. But yes, hi honey. I wish there was something I could do to like your message back, but hi honey, good to see you on here. Hopefully Harlan is watching. If he is, hi Harlan. Hopefully you're having fun. Dad'll be home before too long, buddy. Just at the gym. But anyway, so let's see. It's about what I thought. So yeah. So anyway, I threw the poll up there, just kind of as a discussion or a talking point, but kind of a question that was getting derived from earlier conversation outside of the trollery is, are laws informed by morality, or is morality informed by laws? I think that's a very important starting point for discussion of anything that has to do with passing down stories or passing down lessons learned, is how in fact are we deriving or coming up with these lessons or these stories? How are we establishing our starting points there? Oh, you have me on TV? Oh, geez. You can probably see every pore in my body then. So if anybody's on the chat, it's my wife. Please keep the language clean because there is a 2-year-old watching as well. But um, yeah. But anyway, so you look and you say, okay. So last night, again, talking to Harlan, telling him stories at bedtime about the past, it made me realize, like, okay, things that are fun and they could make great stories aren't necessarily the things I want to tell my kid about. Not because they're immoral or improper, but they're not within his developmental window for him to understand, why things happen, why we did what we did, or what it may be. So, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good story eventually. It just has to fit within developmental windows, or has to fit within the lessons that we're trying to impart on him. But in order to understand what is and isn't appropriate, again, you have to understand, how do we establish these things, what lays the groundwork and all that. Thanks, honey. I appreciate the compliment. You're beautiful as well. Man. So anyway, so there's that. But I'm kind of starting to finish up on this one. And I'm going to be doing some weights where it's harder for me to put my phone up. So anyway, it was good chat with you guys. I'm going to hop off now, especially since the normal discussion kind of immediately degraded into a bunch of teenagers trolling. So either way, have fun. We'll chat again at some point. But have fun, honey. I'll see you in a little bit. See you, Harlan. Love you guys. Bye.